Hi everyone! So I've been recently reading this book called Third Culture Kids, and although I am not technically a third culture kid, more of a two culture kid, I guess you could say, there are a lot of things in this book that I can relate to because although I am, Finnish American, I don't particularly really relate or identify as a Finnish person or an American. But one thing that this book does talk about is international schools, and that is something I have had experience in. So I just wanted to talk about my experience attending the international school that I attended here in Finland, and what were the different pros and cons that I feel that it added into my life personally. And now I know there's like 1,000,001 different kinds of international schools, and all of them are different. There can be there's so many different kinds of them, but what I want to focus on is the particular school that I went to and the benefits that I feel I got from that particular school, for me personally. So my school ran from 1st to 9th grade, and it was, an international school, which meant that the teaching language was in English. So, it wasn't like the norm, because, like a normal 1st to 9th grade school would have been in Finnish. This one was in English, and also a large percentage of the student population were foreigners, I guess you could say, or people who weren't Finnish citizens, or people who had moved here for a short period of time, or Finnish people who had lived most of their childhood abroad and then they came back to Finland and their Finnish wasn't so strong, or they had done schooling in English before so they continued it at the English school. Okay, so yeah, I asked my mom why she decided to put me into an English-speaking school despite living in Finland, and the kindergarten I went to, every single other person went to the Finnish-speaking school. And she said that because we were living in Finland and I was speaking Finnish with my dad, and we obviously lived in a country which, speaks Finnish, I would get, my Finnish language through that, and she didn't want my English to be really poor, so that's why she wanted me, I guess, to upkeep my English level. So that's why she put me in an English school. So yeah, to end on a more positive note, I thought I would first start with some of the reasons why I feel like it might have been a bit of a disadvantage for me to go to an English-speaking school in Finland. I think the main thing for me is that my Finnish language skills really deteriorated, and apparently my English. My Finnish skills really deteriorated. So I feel like before 1st grade, my Finnish level was pretty much the same as any other 7-year-old in Finland. But when I did enter 1st grade, obviously, I think it turned into an 80% of the time I would speak English. And therefore, I think it was kind of a snowball effect, because I did do English high school as well. So it kind of just accumulated over the years, and although I can speak Finnish, it's not, as native as a native Finnish speaking person, and you can kind of tell if you're Finnish that my Finnish level, my words get a bit sticky and stuff at times. I think it also kind of led to the lack of preparation for, continuing my educations in Finland, because after I had done all of my schooling in English, I kind of wanted to continue it in English, because I felt like it would be a bit of a struggle to have to switch into, a Finnish-speaking university after I've done schooling in English all my life. So I felt like, of course, if I would have put my mind to it, of course I could have done it, but I was kind of closing doors on myself already at that point. And there are kind of a limited option of bachelor's degrees in Finland that are offered in English, and there weren't really anything that I wanted to study in particular, so that's why I started looking, for courses abroad, hence why I'm going to Scotland. I mean, that's not necessarily a negative that, I'm going abroad, but it's just something that I felt like in the long run, I kind of closed doors on myself for studying in university in Finland, definitely. I mean, I'm just thinking now, if I would have gone to a Finnish-speaking primary school, my life would have been so different. I would have had totally different friends. I think even my personality would have been a bit different. to be honest. Like, I probably would have stayed in Finland for university. I probably would have lived in Finland for the rest of my life. And now that I'm going to Scotland, who knows where I'll go after that, you know? The world's my oyster. You know, I think that kind of mentality is definitely because I have gone to a more international school. Okay, and this is probably just my school, but sometimes I felt like my English was actually better than the teachers. There were certain teachers that I'm not exactly sure why, but their English wasn't exactly up to par, and I just felt like my English level was like, I don't know, like even like grammar-wise was way miles better than my teachers. Like if I got a pamphlet from them, like I could go through and like grammar check it, because like there were actually a lot of grammar mistakes, and that I picked up some really wonky pronunciation. That's why if you ever hear me say something like or pronounce something really weirdly in English and you're like, what the heck, like she speaks English perfectly, and then like there's like a 1 or 2 words that I just like completely off, it's probably because I picked it up from my teachers. To be honest, like let me think of a few examples. There's at least the first things that come to mind is I always have to correct myself because I tend to say southern instead of southern, because you know, north, northern, west, western, east, eastern, south, southern, you know, that's how some of the teachers would pronounce it, and it kind of caught on to me, and I still do say that if I don't check myself. What other things? My math teacher, he would pronounce certain words a bit weird, like hypotenuse. He would say hypotenuse, which then I caught on. I think I still say that too. Oh man, and like Pythagoras theorem. See, now I have to like think before I say it, so I say it correctly the first time. Pythagoras theorem would be pronounced Pythagoras theorem. So I also say that like that. So yeah, there's like certain words that I always have to like double check in my head before I actually say it out loud, because if I don't, it comes out wrong, and it's just like, people are like, what the heck? Okay, and then so some of the pros that I feel, some of the things that really benefited me in my life, because I did end up going to an international school. I think one of the most obvious ones is my level of English. I think my level of English would be a lot poorer than it is right now, and I think it has overall given me more opportunities, you know, because my English is so strong, and English is a pretty prevalent language overall, like globally, that, you know, it's given me opportunities to go study abroad, like work opportunities, and just stuff like that in general. I think it does open a lot of doors being as, well, I don't want to like toot my own horn, but you know, my English is at a decent level. But I think the thing that I value the most in it, like going to a very international school, was the diversity of the students and the, you know, all of the global friendships that I have acquired throughout all of my years. Like there were students from like all nationalities, all kinds of religions, all kinds of backgrounds, and I think it really did help me, you know, keep an open mind about all issues like that, because Finland, especially back in the day, there wasn't so much diversity. Like there's more now, but especially when I was like 7 years old, there wasn't that many foreigners at the time. So that's why I think it was really beneficial for me for at such a young age to be in like such a multicultural like environment every single day, and I made friends from, you know, every single continent, excluding Antarctica, of course. So yeah, I really do think it helped me, you know, shape my worldview and like just broaden my horizons, as you would say. So that's, I think, the #1 thing I would take with me from my whole experience of international schooling. So yeah, I hope that wasn't like a super boring, but it is like a large part of my childhood, so I wanted to just talk about it a little, because yeah, I have been reading this book and it's actually really interesting. You know, any kind of comment I get, I really do appreciate you taking the time to, you know, type it out, send it, and all of you watching too. You know, thank you so much for taking, you know, the few minutes out of your day to actually, you know, watch me on my little channel. You know, I really do sincerely appreciate it, and I hope it translates, you know, properly, because like every single comment, every single like, every single view, it does mean a lot to me, and I really do thank every single one of you. And on that note, I guess that just about concludes this video. So till next time.